So many movies, TV shows, and books contain erotic scenes, aggressive language, to be more precisely like sex related. And many young adults watch or read these type of sex related things. Sometimes it's even their first acknowledgement towards that subject. And this isn't the way an adolescent should be introduced to the meaning of sex or how sex is. You would think it's a parent's job to have the sex talk with you, but there's like many parents who don't like to have the talk with their kids because they don't think it's relevant for them to know yet. They're not at the age, or they're too busy with work or other important things than to be talking about sex with their children. And then when school sends a permission slip home or a sex course that's going to be taught in class, the parents, instead of signing it for like having other people teach their children about it, like acknowledgement towards it, they decide to reject it and let their children not have acknowledgement towards it. Like for me, I was lucky enough, I guess, not that lucky. My mom had like a sex talk with me. She's had it like so many times. Like I just needed it like once and I'll get it. Like I don't need it so many times. And then also she signed the permission slip for me like, multiple times because for me, we were taught about it once in elementary school, once in junior high, and once in middle school. So I had like a good amount, I would say a good amount of acknowledgement towards it. In an article online stated, most states have laws that address some form of sexual education in schools, and 88% of schools allow parents to exclude their children from sexual health ed. So as I said earlier, even when the parents are given the opportunity for someone else to teach their students about sex education, they don't take it. But then there's they just decide to avoid the talk for their children overall. But the California Helpline states, California schools are revamping their lesson plans to comply with the new state law that requires them to teach a sex ed program at least once in middle school and once in high school. And although this sounds good, I guess, to the parents, like, oh, just once, so like, okay, I'll let them learn about it. I still not good enough, because sex education should be a mandatory course that should be taken beginning in middle school up through high school. Of course, sex is a topic you will learn regardless of who teaches it, where you hear it from, or anywhere. And it gives, if it's a mandatory course in school, it gives the adolescents the opportunity to explore and make their own decisions, and their knowledge, and the more knowledge they receive, the more likely they are to say no. So sex is a topic that is taught the most amongst adolescents, as they think they are in the age. And but the question is, are the information they're exchanging accurate? Obviously it's not, because they're just going off by rumors or things they see on TV or things they hear from other friends' experiences. So what better than to have a course at school where an actual teacher will be giving you the accurate information that's like up to date. And from this I got a quote from Online and Education Board posted on their website. If school districts teach comprehensive sex ed, this subject shall be taught by instructors trained in comprehensive course, and by instructors they mean with knowledge of most recent medically accurate research on human sexuality, pregnancy, and STDs. So being taught by an instructor will constantly be reminding the adolescents about new diseases coming up, new protection methods or methods they can use. And this way they won't be going off by friend recommendations or believing false, inaccurate testimonies. And also some parents, if they do have to talk with their children, they oftentimes they weren't given a sex talk, so they just go off of what they think is right. But most of the time they'll give you like inaccurate information as well, so it's better to be taught by someone who's trained to do so. By learning accurately with trained instructors, the students will be given the opportunity to explore and make their own appropriate decisions. A 2008 United Nations report found that comprehensive sex ed, when taught effectively, allows young people to explore their attitudes and values, to practice decision-making and other life skills they need to be able to make informed choices about their sexual lives. So in this way, when they're being taught, they feel that they can explore, as in like gender preferences, or like they can make their own choices on what's the best method to use for preventing pregnancies. Like I had a teacher in high school who she didn't really talk about the subject because it was child development, so it was like more of like kids related. But she always had written on the board, abstinence is the best policy. And like she didn't give us like a long, like a long talk about it. She would just say like every time we were off, like the bell would ring or like we go on vacation, she'd be like, remember kids, abstinence is the best policy. So I just thought that was pretty, it's funny of her to reminding us about it. So knowing that they're able to make decisions of their own and that there are an open amount of choices to choose from, they'll be more protective of themselves. And that's why it's good to have a mandatory sex ed course, because the more knowledge they have on the topic, the more aware they will be of themselves and the more aware and caution they'll have towards when they open up to their sexual life. And so with the knowledge we give them, they'll know about preventions, they'll know about the specific diseases, and like being taught generally through the topic will help you decide like, oh, I don't want to get this disease or whatever. So you'll just for your own safety, you'll be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the counter argument for this would be that the young adolescents knowing after like being taught about this, they feel like they have enough information. Like, oh yeah, now that I know about it, let me just go out there and explore and I'll do this. And they at the moment when they're there, they don't really think things through. They just go with whatever. Like, what if they don't have a condom or anything? Like, they just go for it. Like, oh, it's okay, nothing will happen. So, young adolescents should be sex-oriented to help prevent making sex fantasies and rated R movies scenes a goal for themselves and more of a lesson. Having sex ed as a mandatory course from middle school through high school will help adolescents be more cautious about and when they begin their sex life. So being informed by someone older with the correct information, trained instructors towards the subject, so it's more believable and accurate, especially when they're constantly being reminded and kept up to date with the mandatory course being available for them.
All right, so what did you think?
I think she had a good introduction to catch our attention. She had a lot of good factual data as well. She had really good eye contact. One thing I would just recommend is just speak a little bit slower. Like, it seems like throughout the speech you're kind of moving a little too fast. But other than that, I thought it was really good.
Okay. I think the opening is pretty good at establishing a relationship with the audience, talking about something that people have in common. There's this general assumption that the kids aren't getting this kind of instructional material, and I think you need to develop that argument a little bit more. You had one piece of data that said that 87% of the states allow people to opt out of it, but that's not the same thing as saying that they do opt out of it. That's, I think, a little bit problematic, and you need some information about the schools where they don't have this, and or the kids, what percentage don't get access to this information. You kind of presuppose that parents are not having the talk, and also that they're not necessarily capable of having the talk, and I think you need more information on both of those points as well. there's a lot of research. In fact, you cited some of it that talked about the benefits of comprehensive sex education. You even kind of define comprehensive sex education in one section of the speech, and you've got a reference to an international study. There needs to be more information that shows what impact it has on the decision-making of kids, if there's any reason to believe that it's going to alter dangerous behaviors, for instance, if it's going to increase the use of contraception or avoidance of sexual activity when it's inappropriate. Maybe abstinence is the best policy kind of things. Maybe that they will refrain as a consequence. I think we need to see a little bit more practical demonstration of the efficacy of these things. You speak about it in kind of a more esoteric way about how their ability to make decisions and values is enhanced, and it sounds nice. Anytime people have more information, generally that's a good thing, although I am finding more and more that the frequency with which people have information and still don't know what the hell they're doing with it is increasing exponentially. We've got a world full of people who got a lot of data at their fingertips but don't know how to think about it, utilize it, understand it, process it. And what you need to do is you need to show us that these kinds of education programs help kids cope with those things that they're being faced with. And I think that you've got a good idea on that. The presentation issues, I think that your eye contact is better than some of the speakers that we've been seeing today, even though you are more script dependent than you want to be. You do make an attempt to look up and talk to us on a much more regular basis. Again, I think there's some good vocal variety in your presentation. Your gestures are a little bit limited, and your nonverbals are limited because of the notes, and you could be more engaging. Some of the source citations are not very good. You give us, one point you said, an online article said, and I'm going, well, that narrows it down to everything that when I open my computer, there's no credibility to it, there's no authority, there's no, you got to get used to citing the information in your argument and being consistent about that. I always tell my students it's not an English class, but that doesn't mean that we aren't supposed to be doing some of the things that you do in an English class. And once you get out of these classes, you're going to be expected to do it a heck of a lot more authoritatively in your papers that you're writing for other classes and when you're giving presentations in other classes. And I want you guys to succeed. It's not that I'm trying to nitpick and kick you around and give you a hard time about stuff. I'm trying to make sure that you're prepared to be able to do the things that you're going to need to do when you transfer, which I think most people are planning on doing, transferring. And you go to another institution and you're not doing those kinds of things, you're not going to succeed. You want to succeed, you need to be able to do those things. All right, thank you.